recognizes Mr. Donovan for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As a follow-up, I just want to clarify something with the Administrator. I know that Congress took 3 months to pass the supplemental appropriation, but the Federal rules from 2011 preclude SBA loan recipients from receiving HUD-funded grants. What my constituents don't understand is why they weren't given that information originally and advised that if they applied for a loan, they'd be precluded. Had they known that applying for the loan may preclude them from those future grants, they may have made different decisions. I have other questions I want to ask you, but I just wanted to clarify that point, that was the majority of the constituent concerns that my office had received.
I understand. Again, since we didn't have the HUD program, there wasn't anything that we knew was coming for certainty. And I actually have to work back through with SBA because we would not inform them of that because they were actually getting an SBA loan. So I want to make sure that in our communications, because when we refer people to SBA, we're not now running the SBA program. But I think that your point is, are we making sure that as we tell people what programs are available, what the caveats are is also part of that process. So I'll take that back and look at how we make sure that as people are coming into our program and if they are being referred to SBA, that we include that in that messaging.
Thank you very much, sir. The Army Corps is in the process right now of building a seawall on the eastern portion of Staten Island, and that mitigating factor, which will help reduce the risk of floods, will help to lower people's insurance premiums. But at what point, sir, do the people actually see the reduction? I don't know how far into the construction of the seawall will they be able to start seeing reductions in their premiums?
The process would be if we know this is being built and the jurisdiction has asked for their revision of their maps, even though projects aren't completed but we know they're funded, we can actually look at what you want to do this as you go through your next insurance cycle. If you're going to do any adjustments, is look at what those improvements are, map that improvement, and then provide the guidance to the right-your-owns as they come up on the next rate cycle. But we have taken projects that had not been completed and begun that process knowing that within the window of time it's going to be completed and we need to start the mapping. Because we will already have what the engineering impacts of that will be. So again, I'll ask staff to see where we're at on that, if we've had that request and how much have we begun on that, and we'll report back.
Wonderful, thank you. And before my time runs out, my final question really has to do with the folks. A lot of the folks in our area live in attached homes, apartment buildings. Sometimes they're attached on one side as a semi-attached. Sometimes they're in a row of townhouses. They're attached on all sides. They're unable to elevate their homes as may be required by the new restrictions after Superstorm Sandy, and they need some mitigation relief from their premiums as well. I know recently a plan had come out, a document came out from FEMA describing what some of these things that these families can do to mitigate, aside from elevating their homes. But what wasn't attached to that was like the actuary report of saying that if you do these other things that we recommend, here's the reductions that you'll receive. Is that something that would come out subsequent to the report being issued?
I'd have to ask staff, and again, I know that what we have recommended is reducing their impacts. I don't know if that would change their rates substantially. I wouldn't want to commit saying if you do this, it equals X, because I think that's something we have to go back and look at. How much do we actually reduce the risk of payouts versus we may do a better job of not flooding parts of the contents, but we may still have a claim to be filed. So I'd have to ask staff to look at that and see what that looks like.
Wonderful. And maybe at some point when we get to do face-to-face, you and I, maybe we could go over some of those things. I thank you very much, all you gentlemen, for coming today.
Gentleman yields back.